We make some. We can make things out of cheap materials that can sell for good money.
What's the properties of that southern ice? Like,
it's just super white and gets translucent at about cone 9. It's as white as you can get. That I know of, anyway. And it throws.
That's what your show at UFC was made of?
Oh, those pieces, yeah. That was all southern ice.
Sounds so fancy.
Well, they all have romantic names. Frost. Phoenix.
Do they have a sample?
I think they should just change it to Amix. It's like second-rate clay, I was thinking.
But it's like honeybees. It's a
It's just the
warmer
number in the
color.
testing. It was the V-Mix that they tried, and it was the best one. So I guess I'm throwing the bigger one first.
Yes.
It does take a while to learn how to center larger lumps of clay. But it's not a bad thing to practice every once in a while once you get your skills up, and you're all getting your skills up.
Your smosh. Blah, blah,
Nobody
blah, blah.
Though we had
Your
a little
lotion
break
smells
through
like
this week,
deliciousness.
things got better. It takes everybody a slightly different length of time to learn all this stuff. Also, you notice that I tend to use the goo. I don't wet too often once I get started after the coning. So how far am I going to go down on this one?
Make it as thin as you can so you don't have to trim.
Close.
How'd you know that?
Were you putting beef?
She phoned me this morning.
Yes, we are.
You already said it. I was just the only one who was listening.
no, I just said that.
Also, we don't want super narrow bases on a picture. You want to be able to put it in the fridge, and fridges have weird hazardous surfaces.
Especially my res fridge.
Especially if you have roommates.
Oh, roommates. So these won't have feet. Those be flat.
No, they'll be like the ones that Robin did there. So now, since Shania showed us how to make S cracks, we'll show you
I'm really good at making S
how to
cracks.
get rid of them. This is the point where if you're getting any of those cracks, you really need to spend the energy and compress that base.
There's a combination of compression and keeping the water out of it that prevents the S cracks?
Yeah, the water will expand the clay, and as soon as it leaves, it wants to crack. And that's why you see me not using so much water. I'm still lubricated, but I'm not using so much water. And also, you'll see how wide I've opened it up. Lots of you are starting to do that, but what you're not doing when you want to make taller forms is bringing it in. So I've kind of opened it up to get the bottom organized, and then bringing it in again. And, especially for larger forms, always correct that top lip. So I've got enough goo on here to do my initial throwing. I just need to bring that out and make a groove. The bottom's a little heavy on this one. And then, if I've got a little bit of slip on my hands, I can just wet my hands a bit and get lots of moisture back.
I started doing that. It does help a lot. It cuts down on your cleanup time afterwards because there's less crap in the pan.
Yep.
You don't have to empty it 3 times. You have to empty it once.
Never thought of it in terms of emptying it.
No, it makes it a lot cleaner in the end. You just have to give it a quick wipe versus like sitting there rinsing it, scrubbing it out, dumping it out in the reclaim buckets.
Uneven top lips. Pull. Claw grip. Put your fingers on top and pull towards and pull up. See how nice and even that top lip stayed? So I'm going to color it in a little bit more. Keep that top narrow so that it doesn't get too wide. A little too much water, too much moisture. A set of grooves. Slow the wheel down. Look at how thick that top lip is. All the while slowing things down. I was breathing.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm
I
just
need a
waiting
little-
for that thing to fall
I need a
right
little
over.
stool. This wheel's taller than my one at home. Okay. So, you're
to get
starting to figure out how to use those ribs, right? So at no point am I letting that lip get super thin.
That would not fit in my fridge.
I'm just going to use the claw grip to bring that in. Okay. So now forming. Slow wheel speed. You want enough moisture on the surfaces to be able to move your hands across them, but you don't want to be slopping water around. There's nothing stand on that.
Do you want a brick?
Yeah, what's the brick will be fine. I just need to get up at a certain point. I'm compressing. Thank you. Oh, it'll be good.
There's a cinder block right there.
No, this is actually all I'll need. Stand on one foot. Yeah. So, what I'm going to be doing is really thinning out that base. Okay, I don't want to put it on the wheel and trim it. And then I'm going to be holding the rib on the outside quite firmly and pulling up against it. And you'll notice that this will stiffen the clay. Also, you can go both ways. Most people don't ever do this, but I find it's useful if you want to rework the bottom. Go back down this way. Some people will hold a damp sponge on the inside. I tend not to re-wet the outside once I've started ribbing, and that's why I use these ribs. If you're using the metal ribs, they'll gouge in. Some of you have probably already figured that one out, right? Also, when you're ribbing, you want an even moisture content on there. If you're wet and dry spots, they'll throw it off just like that started to do. No. So now I'm giving it volume. And what I'm hoping is it doesn't get too much shorter. It will get shorter, but I want to reduce that. And you'll find that if you do use this rib, things will start to stiffen up. You're getting rid of that surface water. And the top edge here it starts to get thicker about here, and then it ends up being quite thick right on the end. You don't want like a big fat bead on top of a skinny little wall, because we're going to be actually making the spout. Takes a little bit more room than that. Always keep correcting this top lip. I don't want it to get too wide. I want to keep it nice and round, and I don't want to have to spend too much time fixing it up later. I want to do things now. So color that in. Start to think about how this is going to look.